Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Recipe for Reality Kitchen. It's your favorite head chef, Zach, back in the kitchen. Unfortunately, no Dylan this time. It has been a couple of weeks since Dylan and I were together as I was visiting him on his really, really amazing and deeply blue job. So it is sad to be back kind of by my lonesome in the cold, in the winter. Happy almost holidays. If you're like me, this is not a sponsor, but this is keeping me going as we head into the last couple of weeks before the new year and our last couple of weeks of Survivor 49, which is absolutely insane. I feel like we just started not that long ago, and as it is, another season has come and it is almost gone. But of course, it would not be very fitting of me to do this just by myself. You don't want to listen to me ramble by myself for an hour on end. You would rather me yap and talk with some of your favorite memorable and recognizable faces. So please welcome back to the Recipe for Reality Kitchen, your favorite Survivor fantasy players and mine, Austin and Ingrid.
Woo!
Back to the kitchen. What's been going on? Tell us about how your life is, how things are going. It's December. I think the last time I saw you was October. Maybe even earlier than that. Tell us what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, life's good. It's just busy.
Trucking along.
We're hanging
ready
in.
to get to that winter break from school.
It just got cold 3 days ago.
Yes,
cold.
yes,
Today especially is
Oh my
super
god.
cold.
I'm we had a 2-hour delay from school today because it was.
Do you hear that, Dylan? As you edit this, it's cold. You're not cold. I know you're not cold. Not that
we're
cold. Yeah, everything's good.
Cool. Very, very cool. Lots of Survivor. Lots of watching Survivor kind of on your off chances, if you're like the three of us doing 1,000,001 different things as you possibly can do as educators. So tonight our plan of action is to talk a little bit. Obviously, we've got our Survivor Fantasy Draft. I don't have a graphic for you, Dylan. Maybe if you're wonderful, you'll have a graphic right here, but I'm going to just insert an opportunity for you to edit out. We're going to talk Survivor Fantasy tonight. Just a little bit of an update of kind of where we're at and how we feel about how our players that we've chosen are doing this season. A little bit about episode 10. We did just get off of a Jawan boot as we are winding down into our last 3 episodes of the season. And then just a little bit of a conversation about kind of where we see the trajectory of the season, maybe in an impromptu safety ranking. You'll obviously see my safety ranking with Dylan on TikTok if you have not checked it out already. But yeah, so we are winding down we are at our final 7. We just saw Jawan go home last episode, and honestly, I'll get us kicked off kind of starting about episode 10 just to get the ball rolling. Not an altogether amazing episode of Survivor, but what I would say about it is probably the most impressive thing is that we've kind of had the same sort of trajectory in terms of what the narrative has been for the last couple of weeks. The last couple of weeks have been get Savannah out, get Steven out. We need to get one of the two of them out. One side wants Savannah gone, one side wants Steven gone, and then miraculously, magically, and somehow against all odds, we're seeing neither of them go home in yet another episode, which only helps to kind of progress the narrative. If you don't want any spoilers, click away for 2 seconds or just hit the mute button. I'll give you a nice little thumbs up when when it's over. Okay, you've clicked away. Great. It gives a lot of credence to the idea as to why someone like Savannah seems to be an obvious pick for something like Survivor 50, because against every bit of odds, Savannah, who has been a main character and a main focal point pretty much the entire season, and has had many opportunities where kind of the entirety of the tribe, not just her people who are working against her, but even people who are sort of on her side have sort of been it's not looking good to keep Savannah around for a long time, have continued to keep her against all of the better judgment. And I will say the only reason you can tune back in now. I will say one of the only reasons that maybe she is not the obvious against every single odds. There is no one other than her winner pick for me, is that I feel like it's almost too obvious at this point. The way her edit has been going, the way that she's sort of been framed as both a villain, but also sort of like a hero of the season, not a hero in the traditional sense of the word, where everything she does is with, this almost like Herculean sort of idea where like Hercules is so perfect that there's, how could you hate him? It's very easy to understand why someone might not like Savannah in terms of her gameplay, but you could never stand there and say she's not a good player, right? Yeah. So it just seems a little too obvious based on her entire edit to call her the obvious winner of the season in that regard. But I think in terms of Survivor 49, she is the player of the season. Yeah, she is the player. There's only one other person for me who I will talk a little bit about when we talk more like clear trajectory, who kind of edges her out in the apparent winner edit. But if I'm taking one thing away from this season, it is that, especially given last episode with just how much she was the focal point for everyone, how much that episode was spent with people like Sage saying like, I want to take out Savannah. I want to get rid of Savannah. Savannah being direct with someone like Christina and being like, where are you voting? And Christina being like, I don't know, but I have to think. But also, I don't like that you're being direct. And still, she doesn't go home. She is Survivor 49's player of the season, I think.
For sure. It's funny to touch on, I think, one of the very first things you said in that little monologue there of saying that you don't like that this wasn't an amazing episode. I disagree. I think it was the best episode we've gotten of the season.
I love a disagreement. I love a good disagreement.
And also, I just know, and maybe it's because, so they're a little behind the scenes of our life. We are in like 2 different like Survivor fan group chats, and literally right before the episode, in one of them, everyone was like, this season's so boring. This season, like, I'm not really buying in. Like, I just want Survivor 50 to be here, blah, blah, blah. And then in a different group chat that has like all the same people as the first group chat with like a couple more people, the episode airs, the episode ends, and everyone's like, oh my God, that's like the best episode of New Era Survivor ever. Like,
wow.
People in that chat were high on this episode.
Okay, cool.
And I was like,
high enough to be like, that was like an old school episode, which grinds my gears so hard, but like whatever.
Which it's time to move on. It's time to move forward.
Like, guys, 49.
It's not 41 anymore. We've gone through 8 seasons since
Zach, who started with New Era, is like, I don't.
No, I agree. It's time to move on. It's time to move on.
And here's the thing, right, is that there's nothing wrong, I think, with wanting old era, because from my standpoint, like, I do think that there's a lot of things about New Era Survivor that, like, not even being an old era, like, purist or having really watched any old era Survivor, I understand the want for, like, more cutthroat. I always bring it back to, like, I miss an old cutthroat Big Brother. I think there's something to be excited about with like things that are more cutthroat or feeling more things like if things are more like old school and like nitty gritty. But there's a reason that like even the networks strive like steer away from that, and it's because the world is not really I shouldn't say accepting, but the world is not really geared towards that like old school mentality anymore. People don't think that way because in the realm of like social media, people are in way more danger if they become. I mean, look at Charlie and, oh my God, is it Charlie Maria?
Cara Maria?
No. Charlie from 47.
Oh, yeah. Charlie and Maria. Yeah.
Look at what happens to Charlie and Maria when they come off, and like Charlie is a little bit more cutthroat and like a little bit more like I get you have feelings, but like I'm here to win $1 million. All of a sudden, the world is turned against both of them. 2 very different like opposing sides that existed in old era BB Survivor, but you didn't have millions of people who go on Instagram and Twitter who literally thrash and bash them over that.
And I think
such a good point.
Well, and I think we even saw that on this season of like when Savannah dove for the keys with MC. Like that was such a old school type of thing to do.
And people get mad about it.
Yeah, people were livid. And even at first, I was like, maybe that wasn't like the best thing for her to do. But at the same time, then I saw her on social media post like the picture of Danielle and Amanda Kimmel fighting over the clue in Heroes versus Villains, and she's like, "Can you tell I grew up on Old School Survivor?" And then it clicked to me, and I was like, "Yeah, that is what that is that type of gameplay."
She's playing an old school game in a new school era, which is great. But I think this is the first time that we're not seeing someone who's playing super old school just immediately sort of be kind of like cast to the side.
Yeah.
Which I think has happened a lot of times throughout this kind of new school era, people are not as forgiving of an old school mentality because people like playing safe, because not for nothing in a new school era, and this is Big Brother truth too, playing safe usually wins. You're not there to play the best game, you're there to win the game. And sometimes this is the hard truth of it. Sometimes playing the best game doesn't necessarily mean that you're the one walking away with the money at the end, because people don't necessarily think that best game is deserving of a win anymore. Agreed. Which is a whole other topic that I'm sure we could spend 8 million hours on.
I think the other thing that's so funny about like talking about new school, old school, blah, 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 is like, I even like, I replied to a message that somebody said, and nobody answered my question, which is fine. But I asked, I was like, when you say that this seems old school to you, that this episode seems old school to you, what do you mean by that? Because there was a time 9 seasons ago where old school meant pre-heroes versus villains, which is not necessarily, and like we're using heroes versus villains seen as an example, but like I would more argue that like 48, for example, and the gameplay that we saw in 48 is that was like boring to a lot of people, is what old school Survivor was like in the early days. If you're talking about like the 30s, then yes, I would agree with you. That's where the really cutthroat gameplay was happening, and the voting blocks and the whatever and things like that really started to come out. We didn't have that in the old school that like the OGs would consider old school. Like so it's like, what are you asking for?
The old school shirts that Ethan Zahn made were not.
We're not talking about
30s.
No cutthroat gameplay, nothing. They were tribal lines all the way to the end, and if you were on the right side of the numbers,
which you could also argue Savannah is playing that game too, because she is trying to. She was trying to just have
and
Uli
then she
go.
realized that they weren't sticking with her, and she had to do something different.
Yeah. But she still got Rizzo, and even though Soph isn't Uli, she was adopted Uli.
Yeah.
So that's still for.
And what's crazy is that in Savannah kind of trying to gain on that mentality, like I tried to play that mentality, now I gotta grab who I can grab. Taking Rizzo and Soph, she has set up her allies to also have a better end game because of it. Like Rizzo and Soph have probably the best overall. If we had an end game of Rizzo, Sophie with an I, and Savannah sitting at Final Tribal Council with the 3 of them, each of them have enough of a case, I think, to be able to win. But at the end of the day, part of that is because Savannah like grabs onto both of them and says like, you're coming with me. And because of that, they are each able to have these like individual moments throughout the season, right? Sophie being that underdog and then literally being taken in and just given an opportunity, but then using the most of it, right? Like she doesn't just sit there and is like, I'm along for the ride. She's constantly in the middle. And she even says that in the episode, right? She is like, I'm the one who makes the decision. I make the decision at any point in this. And that's why I'm going to win. Like she is literally like, the reason that I'm going to win is because when I swapped onto this, I was given power. I didn't ask for it. They handed it to me on a silver platter.
Yeah. And well, what's funny too, to go with your like talking about Savannah pulling them in, not to continue to harp on the entire like Survivor community's comparison, but that's very Parvati in Micronesia. Of she's like, I have Amanda Suri, I have Alexis Natalie. Let me just pull this unit together and let this unit carry me to the end. And that's exactly what Savannah's doing here.
100%.
So
the longer that the season goes on, the more I see it. Truly.
Yes.
Like, I think in the beginning I was like, okay, you just see another pretty strategic girl and you want to call her Parvati because that's what we always do. But the more that she actually like
the way she played in Jawan's face.
Bro.
Well,
like, that's so Parv. That is so Parv.
And that's for me one of the reasons that she's so much so the player of the season is because Jawan, and we can talk about the Jawan boot for a second, because the trajectory of this episode is very. We get into the episode and immediately you have 2 sides. One side is like, we got to get rid of Savannah. And I say one side, and really it's like everybody except Savannah, Sophie, and Rizzo are like, it's time to get rid of Savannah.
Of both Sophie in that regard, I would say.
I don't know that the other Sophie was fully decided at the beginning of the episode.
No. and they have all of these grand plans, right? They're gonna scare Rizzo into using his idol. They're gonna really harp on the fact that Christina is using her idol. But by the way, Steven has forgotten to tell Juwan that he knows, which is a big part of this thing, right? But even though it doesn't really come into play at the end of anything, because Juwan and Steven still try to vote together, right?
Yeah.
You've got this whole, all right, well,
That scene was so
we're really going to make sure that Steven and Savannah don't win immunity, because as long as Steven and Savannah don't win, we're going to have, and they go through this whole thing, and still at the end, the person who goes home is Savannah's biggest rival since Tribe Swap, because he's the one who really loses and starts to move away from her. And the person who makes the biggest fool of her, and that's why I think she, again, it's almost too good to be true that she is the winner of the season, because you've got this clear arc, and this is sort of it right now, right? She sent her biggest rival home. She hasn't sent her biggest threat home, but she sent her biggest rival home. Her biggest threat right now is Sage or Steven. Sage or Steven are her bigger threats, because Sage has enough wherewithal to say, like, we can't keep her in the game. Steven is the one with the ability to do it, because he's right now the only one who really stands a huge chance of taking immunity from her on a level playing field, right? We see Sophie with an E. We see Sophie with an E walk in for the puzzle game, and we're all like, where did you come from? Like, you haven't been here all season.
Well, she also won she won the first immunity challenge too.
Yes. Again, she's not
but purple. Still, that's 2 challenges.
Well, but and that's Tasmania Savannah's one though. Her and Savannah are tied right now.
I know. I always laugh in any season of Survivor when somebody wins 2 challenges and everybody's like, "Whoa!" Like, guys, like,
come on,
so, but also maybe not.
Well, that was the same thing that they said in that split thing. Like, they were already like, Sophie won 1 challenge, and then in that split, they were like, Sophie's a competition threat, and
right.
Rissa's like, I mean, she won 1. She's not going to win them all.
No, and I think that's sort of the thing, right? Is that now we're at the point where, and this is where we can transition a little bit into talking about just like what we think the trajectory of this season looks like right now. Right. So right now, and we've sort of, I'm curious, actually, before we even talk about that, I'm curious about what you think about the Rizzo fake idol play.
I feel like I can't, I don't know, I'm always so results oriented on things. Like, I'm like, I need to see his confessional at the
where he talked about why
episode where he says why he did it. And if the why he did it is he's hoping that it makes everyone think that his idol was fake the whole time, and then we also see people saying that they believe his idol is fake, then amazing 10 out of 10. If it was just to, and I will say, not 10 out of 10, but if it was just to like go up there and try to like read faces to see if he had to play his real one, 8 out of 10. If it was any other reason, he's
0 out of 10.
He's just chewing the scenery and wanting the airtime, and fair enough, he's getting it.
I think again, if we're talking why is he back for 50, this might be the day of like, sorry, spoilers, oops, what?
didn't warn that one.
You watch Dylan and I's things, you should know already. But if we're looking for a reason for why Rizzo is on 50, I mean, he is playing a good game. This episode was oddly Rizzo-centric, though, especially with like him losing him being the reason they lose the reward, having that moment of feeling like a failure, really needing that group to like boost him back up, and then at the end of the day, turning on them, like still not doing what they want him to do or not being a part. Like he had his moment where like, I'm letting people down, and then still walked out on top. Like that to me, this was a once again, like it proves Savannah is the character, but it also proves why Rizzo is like a fixture, I feel like, in this season, because he is still the most likable person. He can lose a challenge for them. He can totally let them fall flat on their ass. And even when someone is like, we can get rid of Rizzo, and he gets a random vote thrown on him, he's still the one who's coming out squeaky clean, because they still want Savannah out before they want him out. And they're getting close enough to a finale where you're losing ground to be able to do that. Eventually, it's going to come to a point where if he doesn't win like if you don't vote him out, he's going to have to win fire, or whoever is there might just take him. Because here's the question that is in my mind, right? If we get to a point where it's, let's say it's Savannah, Rizzo, Sophie, and let's say Christina, right? That's sort of kind of where I think the trajectory is. It's either Christina or Sophie, with an E. If Savannah wins, she's taking Rizzo.
Yeah.
And then it's Sophie and Christina, Sophie E against each other. If Sophie wins, Sophie with an I wins, she's taking Christina probably, I think, unless she's hoodwinked enough to thinking that, like, I'm going to take Savannah or Rizzo. But again, it's sort of in this realm of, like, whoever takes Savannah out is going to be the one with the best case in the end, is sort of what it seems like. So where does Rizzo sit for people that he doesn't just actually have the ability to, like, wait, get to the end, and then use it? He clearly has charm, and he has enough of a story now where it's like, I was able to lose a rewards challenge and still not be the person who, even after not using an idol, like, still didn't have the most votes to go there, or still losing a reward challenge and not using my idol, still wouldn't have gone home, even if Savannah, like, didn't have an idol used on her or whatever it is. Like, he's got enough charisma at the end of this whole section to at the end of this whole game to potentially be a winner. I don't think it is him, but he has a case. Thoughts?
Good.
I think that Rizzo is so much smarter than any of us think he is. And I mean the people that are playing with him, and I mean the viewers as well. Because even in this, like, situation where, like, well, we don't know if he meant to do that.
Oh, I think he did.
I think he meant to do it. And I think that, like, look, I don't know if the fake thing's gonna work. Like, I don't know if people,
it could be his downfall.
Yeah.
But, like, he is clearly a student of the game, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, in David versus Goliath, there's a similar move. It's David versus Goliath, right? That happens where doesn't Nick, like, go up and, I could be thinking of a different person, go up and, like, look like he's going to play an idol and judges the faces to decide who to play it on, or somebody like something like that. There's a similar thing that happened.
Recently did that too.
I believe it's like in the late 30s. So I could be wrong on the season or the player, where he goes up as if he's going to play an idol, looks at the people, and, like, tries to decide whether he's going to play for himself or somebody else. So something along those lines and he is able to correctly read the situation and plays it on the correct. I don't remember what it was, but I'm sure that Rizzo saw that at some point and knew that and was like, that's a viable strategy. But I wasn't expecting it to be fake. One, because idols in the new era look like little bracelets all the time.
Right.
Like, it's so easy now to make a fake idol. And I think that's a little bit intentional from production. They want to see that, like, especially after 44, where they were like, put this decoy in here and yada, yada, whatever. But, like, I think that was brilliant because people truly thought it was real, and then it wasn't. And I think there is a world where people believe it. And even if they don't, he was able to see the target. So it's still successful to an extent. And I think even, like, I know we're not really talking about, like, the Alex bit or anything like that, but, like, the way that Rizzo
absolutely can talk about the
is the orchestrator of that, in the sense of, like, he thinks that Alex is the best positioned person in the game. I want to be the best positioned person in the game. So I need to take him out. And you could arguably say the same thing about Jawan. He sees that Jawan and Sage have all the power. They're kind of like a two-headed dragon at this point. You got to cut a head off. Like, I think that and nobody's clocking him in the game either. No. They're all focused on Savannah. Right. And he is not going to take Savannah out. And he could very easily at the end say, why was I going to take her out? Because then you guys are going to look at me. You guys are like, I'm not going to do that. Mm-hmm. And that would be a viable, like, thing for him to say at the end. I truly more and more think that he has win equity every single week.
Yes.
I would not be surprised if he is the winner.
He went from being someone who we all sort of expected to, like, trip up on himself a little bit too far into the game to, like, really make an error, or, like, to really make ground back from it, has turned into this sort of, like, yeah, I'm behind the scene. And again, if I'm looking at it from, like I said, I think it's too obvious to have Savannah win. I think that she might be the best player of the game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to be the winner, because the best players usually go out pretty early if they're being too obvious about it. And Savannah just, unfortunately, I think is suffering from the idea that she got clocked a little too early by someone like Joanne and was never going to make ground up from that. Rizzo is 1,000% in the school of like, I have figured out that I sit in a good position of the game now that Alex is gone. I'm going to keep building that position for myself. Now let me tell you why I think Rizzo may not be the winner.
Okay.
Because something that still exists, and this is, I think, unfortunately, and we've said it on, Dylan and I said it when we podcasted together last time we were together, is that Soph is probably the most well-positioned person in the entire game. She has had an underdog edit for weeks. She continues to have the same underdog edit, and she is currently sitting on the most powerful advantage that she could possibly be sitting on, in the fact that she has a knowledge of power that has not been used yet, and all she needs Rizzo to do is tell him that it was a fake, is tell her that he still has a real idol, because Soph sits in the unique position. And I haven't watched the I haven't watched the preview for this week coming up. So I could be completely wrong in what I'm about to say, but she sits in the unique position to be able to make the best possible move that you absolutely erupts Savannah and gets her out, completely takes away Rizzo's win equity by using the fake idol, not using his real idol to actually save an ally, and then getting it taken away from him. So suddenly he is now a sitting duck with no other ally, who will be forced to like stick with Sophie I because he has to. And then she has the ability to kind of hide away, steamroll through someone like Steven, and then at the end be sitting against Rizzo, who she stole the idol from, and a Christina or a Sophie with an E, who only have the fact that they were in the majority or that they won a couple of competitions. Sophie, I think, is the obvious winner choice. It's just going to depend on how she uses the knowledge is power, because if she doesn't use it and then tries to use that as an advantage, I can see someone like Rizzo and Savannah like steamrolling over her and being like, why wouldn't you have used that to take out one of us? And if her answer is like, why would I take you out? Well, because we were in the best position to win.
That's what I think is going to. I really think if it was going to be used, I think she would have used it to take Christina's this week. And I don't know that she's going to use it at all at this point.
I want her to use it so bad.
I do too. I love Soph, and I would love for her to have a moment like that. I just am starting to worry and wonder if she is going to.
Right. I agree.
Since we're talking about 50, and it's out there.
Yeah.
I struggle. And again, this is hard because we know the 50 cast. I struggle with the idea of someone like Soph winning this season and not getting an invite back. That is my biggest holdback.
Or even being the first person to successfully use the knowledge of power and not
obsessed.
getting a callback.
Jeff loves
he wants that knowledge of power. He's so bad too.
Yeah. Nobody's ever used it correctly. Nobody's ever used it well. Like, I think I truly and that's like very meta of me, but that is my biggest.
Agreed.
I have one other thing to say too about Soph.
I think that production probably really likes her, and what she's done, and if she won, I would be shocked.
Yeah.
To not see her for the longest time in my mind, I've thought of Soph as like the third place zero finalist for whatever reason.
Oh, what happened?
What happened?
Oh, nothing. I'm letting a cat inside because of the
hello cat.
Door.
Hello cat.
So go ahead, finish your.
Yeah, I have been thinking of Soph as a 0 vote finalist since like the day she hopped on the Savannah Rizzo train.
Right.
In my mind, and it may not end up this way, but in my mind, that's the final 3, and she is third place. And it's a fight to see which one of the other 2 gets the votes.
Yeah.
In my mind.
My thing too. There was a secret scene that the Survivor CBS channel posted on, I don't know if it was YouTube or just some other social media, but it's literally a scene of Soph going through Christina's bag to see if she has an idol and find the idol. And my brain just says, if Soph is the winner of the season, why is that a secret scene? Why is that not in the episode?
That's 100% fair. I think it literally all hinges on, because when did his idol will expire at 5?
I assume.
So if he doesn't use it this week, she's got one more week.
Yeah.
Which,
well, 2 technically. She can still steal it at 5 because she would steal.
That's what
it
I mean. She
before
can
they
either
do
use it. Oh, two. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, she's got 3 rounds at this point.
She's got this upcoming round, the round after, and the round after that.
Yeah.
If she does not, I think that I will be cemented sort of with your thinking that if she does not steal it, it's probably over for her.
Yeah.
I don't see a world where she goes home. I think she's a finalist.
I think she is at the end. Yeah.
I think she's at the end. It's just a matter of where at the end is she? Is she
and how she gets there?
Is she a 0 vote finalist, or is she the one who slayed the dragon
and
then still somehow she didn't take credit for it, or like didn't take credit for it like through the rest of the season, and then at the end pulls it out, right? Like pulls out this underdog, and like I'm the one who, while they took me in, I had the knife behind my back ready to go, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I would be I'm very curious to see what happens these next 3 weeks with her. I think that really decides it, because here's the thing is that if Savannah and Rizzo go out and then Sophie goes out and it's just Steven, Christina, Sophie, IE, and Sage, I think the only 2 people I could see winning out of that group are Sage and Steven, and I think Sage has probably the better game in her belt, but I think that's like I don't think any of them have a good enough game to win right now.
I will say I do think that we are undervaluing or undercrediting Christina's game if she were to get to the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think she probably has one of, if not the best social game people in the game, and I think solely based on that she would get votes and be a threat to win. I just don't think Christina's getting to the end.
No, I don't think so either.
I don't think she's getting to that final 3, and I think part of it is this, like, she's so likable, people are gonna want to vote for her to win, we need to get rid of her. Also, for you, I think the idol thing that you were talking about earlier is Joe Mena on Heroes, Healers, Hustlers.
Freak.
I went searching and I was like, this seems like the thing.
I also just unfortunately think too that Christina hasn't had much of an edit that is outside of like all of her big focal points have been about her mom, which is like the most heartwarming thing that we've seen probably all season. The problem with it just doesn't have a focus on her gameplay or her being able to win. And that's why I think that Steven and Sage are sort of the only people that sort of have that kind of like winning. I think that if Sophie had a winning game, we would have seen a lot more of her early on. Because even with like someone like Erica, we saw a lot of Erica early. It just wasn't relevant. Yeah. The biggest thing we saw with Sophie prior to her winning individual immunity was the fruit comment. Like that was, I think, like the biggest thing we had all pre-merge. And that really doesn't scream like focus on me. Even Steven had like itty bitty things there where he was like focusing in on his strategy. I think if Steven gets to the end and it's him, Sophie E, and Christina, I think he actually probably wins because he just has the best overall, like he's the driving force behind a lot of things, even if he wasn't always like successful in being like, it also just depends on who, it just depends on who, like how if he's the one who gets Savannah out, if he's the one who gets Rizzo out. But like if Sage is the one who gets Savannah and Rizzo out, then I think Sage wins. Like that's sort of that's the trajectory with her. But then if we're metaing it again, why wouldn't you bring Sage back? Yeah. Like, why would you bring Savannah and Rizzo back? And why wouldn't you bring the winner?
Unless it's literally because of what we saw in this episode.
It's so funny to me because we talk to people who like to talk about Survivor a lot. It's so funny to me to see so many people say, this season is so boring. I wish I didn't know who was on 50. I wish I didn't know. I wish I didn't know. And to me, I'm like, that adds another fun layer to me.
Yes,
because I'm like, I started watching Survivor as a kid, but they were already 17 seasons in by the time I started. So there was a lot of content that I got to go back and watch as a young adult, knowing who was going to win. Yep. Right. And I think that like I understand people who don't want to be spoiled and yada yada, like completely understand that. But I think there's also something really cool and interesting about being able to watch a season of Survivor, knowing what's going to happen. And we don't fully know, obviously, with this, but like knowing what's going to happen and being able to try to piece the puzzle together.
Well, it's kind of like a lot of those like crime or mystery shows that are, instead of like a whodunit, like a how they do it.
Like, what was that?
Like an Elspeth,
like that?
Yeah.
Yes. But like,
shout out to another CBS show.
But like, what I have found so interesting about watching the season, what I keep telling people is like, if you're bored, like look at it this way. We continuously see like a Savannah, for example, being pushed up against the wall. And we know that she has to overcome it somehow.
Yeah.
Right.
So how is she going to do that?
Right.
How is Rizzo going to keep moving? What are they going to do that is going to cement them such a spot on 50 that other people were not chosen? And they chose 2 people from 49 to do that. So like, there is that part of it that like, yes, that limits a lot of it for it. And I think it would be different if we didn't know those things, but like it is interesting.
It's also not like this cast isn't intelligent. You know what I mean?
What
like,
I'm saying.
This cast is filled with like very smart players.
Yeah.
Joanne, for all of his like intensity and craziness, was a smart player. Like,
also, can we talk about the fact that he took Rizzo's torch?
Yeah. But like, oh God, what a mess. He's so.
At least it wasn't Savannah's torch.
So much. I love him.
The only way it would have been better though is if it was Savannah's
but like,
torch.
here's the thing, right? Is that he's not a stupid player. Neither is Sage. Neither is Steven. Neither was
nobody
neither
left
was Alex. Not like they have not, we're not seeing them play with like ridiculously unintelligent individuals. We're just seeing them play better than them. And that is impressive, because what's happening is that, like, take Savannah, for example. And I know that this just sounds like this is just going to be 40 minutes of us like loving Savannah and Rizzo. But I mean, a lot of what season 49 has just become is seeing like, and I think that is the problem with knowing the meta of it already, unfortunately, is that like you see 2 people, and I think you're right, Ingrid. Okay, how did they earn these spots? Because we knew very early on that they were big contenders to like obviously win, but they have had this edit where like, how in the world are you going to tell me that Savannah once again is going to come through? If we're getting into safety rankings, which we can get into that a little bit. I mean, for me, like Rizzo sits at the top because he has the idol in his pocket.
Yeah.
So number 1 for me is going to be Rizzo. And that is because I just don't really see a world where he either doesn't use it on himself or finds a way out. Like that's sort of where he's landed. Yeah. And then Sophie with an I is right below him at 2 because like I just don't think that there's a world where she's not sitting in the finale. Yeah. But also she has the ability to both take the idol and do something with it, or there's nobody who wants her gone.
Nobody wants her gone. Yeah.
Correct.
Like, there's just no way where the 2 of them are not sitting at 1 and 2. And if I'm being honest, the only reason that Savannah isn't at 3 is because I see a world where, unfortunately, David slays Goliath. But who is David? That's the problem, is that there is no clear David.
Yeah.
She is Goliath. Yeah. Her David is Sophie. Like, that is who David is. But she is not gonna, I think, she either rises to the occasion and slays her in front of everyone, or she just misses the stone throw. Like that's sort of the unfortunate reality of it. And I can see someone taking her out, but that doesn't then mean that they're going to get rid of Rizzo. And I think that is the big thing, is that
I agree.
I think actually the only way that Savannah goes out is if it's supposed to be Rizzo and they throw a vote on Savannah and he uses his idol on himself and she goes out, which then is like a great setup for 50 with them, because is she going to be able to forgive that? Is she going to be able to forgive him?
That could be a fun little reason why.
Yeah, I definitely think it could be either thing. I kind of want to go back a little bit. We were talking about this before, and I didn't get to really say what I wanted to. And I'm pretty sure this person's on my team.
Oh,
I just looked up the team, so I know who your team is.
I feel like
you have Sophie and Rizzo.
I feel like we're undermining Sophie a little bit.
Okay.
And trust me, I get mad every time I think about the diet food situation.
God, she is on your team. I forgot about that. Keep going.
Because what are we
all doing? 3 of us have 2 people left.
But
Dylan has 1.
I think I can remember going back as early as the swap. And when there was...
Sorry, I'm listening. I just don't remember Sophie doing anything pre-merge. But I'm listening.
when we were at a place, because we were at a place in the swap, right, where it was Uli versus Hina, because obviously the other tribe basically didn't matter. And each time one of them went to tribal, it was like, oh, if we get rid of a person from the majority tribe or whatever, like that, where they were like trying to assume that at the merge they were going to work with their original tribes. Like that was a very big theme of the swap.
Yes.
And I remember there being confessionals where Sophie was talking about trying to work with Alex and wanting to be his new Sophie.
Right.
And I think that was one of, not the only, but one of the first times that we saw a person that was in a situation where they could have stuck with their original tribe start to try to mix around outside of like Sophie being latched onto by Savannah Rizzo. And then as we get into the merge, she has kind of moved and shifted around where she feels like she needs to be. I think she's the most fluid player right now in terms of where she can go. Like she chose a side for this battle, and she chose the Savannah side, which was interesting to me. But I think like you said something about Jeff saying like the alliances change a lot in the merge.
Jeff did
and
say
yada,
that
yada.
in an interview preseason.
So like with that in mind, there is the possibility that she goes back to the Hinas or doesn't. And I think that there was a lot of good confessionals in this particular episode by Sophie about the way she's thinking, about the way that she's playing, about like, I can't play scared because being scared doesn't win Survivor. I get to choose what happens tonight. And like, that can go one of two ways, right? Like a lot of times we see people be like, I get to choose. I'm in the driver's seat. And then they go home.
Sarah Lucina.
But she didn't go home.
Right. She stayed. And in fact, she was the decider of
the deciding vote.
Yeah.
Like she read that situation correctly and she made a move that I think was optimal for her.
Yeah.
I don't know yet. But I think like I see a little bit of longevity for her. I can't be sure because they can't all make it far.
But I feel like she was so under-edited for so long.
But like so was Erica.
Yeah, I know.
And so was like
it's true.
I'm not saying Sophie's gonna win necessarily.
No.
But I could like in my beautiful journey in my mind.
I do think Sophie's an incredible player. I do stand by that.
In my journey in my mind, where Savannah and Rizzo and so for the final three, I could see Sophie in fourth.
Yes,
potentially.
I think so. This is to your credit, Ingrid. I think I do think that Sophie is incredibly underappreciated. My thing about it is that, and I do think that she made the optimal choice to keep herself in the game. Sophie's choice, which is a horrible I think has unfortunately cemented her with a really solid probable fourth. Because now the problem is, and again, this could all go away. If a knowledge is power is used correctly or an idol is played, I mean, it all kind of goes out the window and it doesn't really matter. The problem is right now with how it's lined up, there is no reason for that group of four to split into two groups of 3 and 1 because we're at 7. So we have, they control the vote right now. So like Savannah, Sophie, and Rizzo will determine who goes home, which on the other side of things, right? Sage, Steven, and Christina, that is just not a strong, because it wouldn't be a good idea for Sophie, right? Because if she flops back to the other side, she's the clear target. She's deciding who goes home. Everyone is seeing it happen. Now you're the target. So if you don't win immunity, you're going home. The problem is, I think that now has sort of cemented her as like, well, you can't win because if you flipped over to here, you have a perfect way to tell people I made the right decision and I saved my game and that's why I'm sitting here. And every single one of those 3 people, Sophie, Savannah, Rizzo, is smart enough to see that. And I think that they won't. I think that is, if Savannah wins, she's taking Rizzo to the end. If Rizzo wins, he's taking Savannah to the end. If Sophie wins, I think she takes one or the other. Maybe take Sophie with an IE, but I think it's probably unlikely. She could, though, win final immunity.
I was going to say, I have 2 points. The first is that she could win final immunity, and that changes everything. I also don't like I think there is also a world where potentially something crazy happens and like Rizzo wins final immunity and says, I don't know if I can sit with Savannah, and sends her to fire and she loses. And that's the story for 50.
Right.
I don't know. But the other thing is, I know you said you hadn't seen the preview.
I have not. No.
Do you want me to say what I'm going to say about it? Or
no, you can.
Because
that's so funny. I literally just got
I remember from the preview.
Wait, before you do, Ingrid, look at this is what just popped up. I don't know if it said it is the Survivor cherry on top sneak peek one. It literally just
there you go.
Yeah.
The only thing from the preview that I remember, or like the next time on Survivor, is right post tribal, Sage and Sophie, i.e., sitting on the beach, and Sage crying and being like, "You betrayed me," by sending Jawan home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. So I think it's going to be really hard for her if she even wants to try to work at that side. I don't see her doing that necessarily. I think that like she chose her side. And I think it would be really hard for her to go back and forth. I don't think that she has the Andy power to flippity flop.
No, not anymore.
But I do think it's not impossible to see her at the end.
This is me reminding myself I have something to say.
I don't think it's impossible to, I'm almost done.
Okay.
I don't think it's impossible to see her at the end. And I think depending on how bitter people are, there is the possibility of win equity for her, depending on who she's sitting with. But if it's in that 4 that she's chosen, it is a difficult road.
Yeah. I think Sophie has one path to the end. This is the exact path, or one path to the end and winning. She needs to stick with the Savannah and Rizzo crew for this one vote to get rid of Steven.
Yes.
Then she needs to somehow convince Soph, Sage, and Christina to become a 4 to take out Rizzo and Savannah somehow, some way, using maybe
power.
Soph is never going to tell Sophie about that, but like that could be part of it. But Sophie needs to be the one that pulls Soph away from Savannah and Rizzo. They need to get those 2 out. And then I think in that world, there is a argument that Sophie can make against any of those 3 to win, because I do think Sage had power very early in the merge, but has lost.
Yes, it has petered out since. Yes.
So I don't think Sage really has much of a case. Christina has the case based on likability factor. But I think at that point, Sophie has the strongest case of the 4. And I think she stands a phenomenal shot of winning final immunity
100%.
if it's against Soph, Sage, and Christina.
Correct.
To all 3 of those women.
100%.
Love you all.
100%.
I think Sophie's taking that.
on a balance beam where she can flip herself around a whole bunch.
That's true.
Yeah.
Do not count my queen out, okay?
Yeah. I think
that was so good.
To kind of wrap this all up in a bow, and I'll wrap it up in the bow with my sort of safety rankings to just kind of understand where people are at. I think right now, like I said before, 1 and 2 for me are Rizzo and Sophie. And it really is just because of what they're positioning, the idol, the knowledge is power, the everything about it. I don't see a world in which, again, they're not making it through another episode. At number 3, I've got Christina. I don't think Christina is, especially after just using an idol on herself when she really did not need to, you're not a target at that point.
Yeah.
And it's at least for another episode. So they are a clear for me 1, 2, and 3. Sitting at 4 is Sophie I. Those 4 for me, I think, have the least likely chance of walking out of Tribal this week because either an idol, a power, or literally just their position in the game. They are not going to stray from their people, but they're not in the eye of whoever they're looking at. 5 is Sage. 6 is Savannah, because I really don't. I can't put her at the bottom because I continue to be amazed by Savannah, and then Steven at 7. I just continue to be amazed by Savannah because I don't, and maybe it's just because through playing orgs and things like that, like we have all been in that situation where like we should have gone home and we didn't. And she just lives that moment every week.
Yeah.
And it is not my thing is like, it's just not because of chance. Like, it really is because of how good of a game player she is. I think for me, the satisfying conclusion to this season is only if she wins. If Rizzo, it will be a great season too. I think Rizzo, Sophie, both Sophies, or Sage or Steven, like, is an enjoyable win. Like, it feels like, okay, good, like a good winner. I would be happy with probably anyone winning right now. Maybe except for Christina, not because I don't love her, but because I just don't think that would be like, that feels like a win that would be out of full spite for anyone she is sitting next to. Like, full on spite for anybody else's game. If she wins, it will be I would be thrilled for her, but I would not be thrilled because I think it would just be like, we don't like you, so we're gonna vote for her. If Savannah wins, that to me will be like the cherry on top for this season, because
that's the name of the next episode.
I
mean, that's the episode 11 title.
What?
Cherry on top.
Oh,
like the episode tomorrow night is called Cherry on Top.
Episode title tonight. But I just think that I think that is just the clear trajectory for like the perfect way to end 49. It would not be predictable to me. I think that like it would have felt that way like pre-merge, but ever since, she's a target every week and she never goes home. And I think that just to watch her go from clearly HBIC to on the outs, on the bottom, to somehow the winner is just like one of the coolest trajectories of the new era that we've seen in a very long time. I feel like what has happened is that the winners of the last couple of seasons have sort of been like, they were there, but no one ever thought about them. She is on someone's mind every week, and she still never goes home. Yeah. It's sort of like Carson for me, where like Carson's always on someone's mind. They just didn't want to get rid of him yet, but then they did get rid of it. Like, Fire was how he went out.
Yeah. I mean, it is similar to Jam Jam, of like Jam Jam was targeted very early in that merge and survived it, and then slowly picked out all the people that had gone for him.
Well, and the only difference I think with Jam Jam is that there was eventually a point where they weren't looking at him anymore.
Correct. Yes.
Whereas like we don't know if that's going to happen with Savannah.
I would be shocked if they weren't looking at her through the whole end.
As long as Sage is in the game, someone's looking at Savannah. And I would not be surprised, like, if for some reason Sage goes.
And Savannah doesn't even really want to get rid of Sage. She would rather get rid of Steven. Like, and that is crazy because she's like, you look at me every week.
Sophie IE wants Steven gone. Like that was another big thing of this episode. Like, it was actually more Savannah who introduced the idea of we should go for a Sage or Juwan instead of a Steven here, because I'm pissed that those two flipped on me.
The other bonus point for Sophie there also, by the way, as we like wrap up that section, is when they decided they wanted to go for the Juwan and Sage, they said, let's let Sophie pick, since she is the reason we have the numbers.
Yeah, they had to let her pick, which I think is smart.
It was very smart for them to do that. But like, I just think that's a plus in her camp.
Yeah, I will say, as someone who, so I have at the school I teach at, I have a Survivor club where I have kids come every week to watch the episode each week. And I refuse to let them know who's on 50 from this cast. They do not know.
Oh, very cool. That is very cool.
So I feel like I do kind of get like an insight into the like casual viewer who has no idea who's coming back's mind.
I can't wait for Savannah to go home.
Also, in defense, these are high school age students, so their opinions are strong, and I can't say their opinions are wrong, but they feel
wrong as well.
they're strong and wrong. They hate Savannah and Rizzo.
That's so funny.
They wanted Rizzo gone so bad because the last episode I've watched with them is the Alex episode, because we haven't had Survivor Club because of Thanksgiving and everything. So they haven't seen the Juwan episode, but they wanted Rizzo out in that Alex boot so bad. They were so upset. Their favorite is Steven. They love Steven, partially because Steven looks like one of the students at my school, but that's a totally different thing. But I feel like they're starting to slowly come around on Savannah, but like they do not like Rizzo. They think Rizzo is like too arrogant, too cocky, too full of himself. And they do like Soph. They like Blue Sophie. So just fun little insight into like what a casual viewer may be thinking. Again, these are high school age students, so maybe not casual adults thinking this, but for young kids who are new to Survivor, most of these kids,
Right.
this is the first season they've ever seen of Survivor as well. But like that's kind of like I feel like the mindset of some people is surprised. There's actually a lot of people who don't like them because of the air that they give off.
It's so funny to me because I feel like being on like Survivor Fan Jury on Facebook, for example, which is like full of so many different types of fans. I feel like every other day I see like 8 posts that are like, I can't wait for Savannah to go home. Savannah sucks. Savannah's terrible.
Yeah. Guys, I had to defend Savannah with my life to these high school students when she dove for those keys. That was really
as
the moment.
You should.
That was the moment that so many of them turned on Savannah. I said, guys, we have to understand something.
Listen to me, Savannah. So, and this is my last thought, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yes,
Savannah exemplifies, and I think a lot of this cast does for me for the most part, especially like Sage, which like we didn't really talk a lot about Sage this episode.
I love her, even though she's.
I mean, just so everyone's aware, kind of where we're sitting on our fantasy teams. Ingrid still has Rizzo and Sophie IE on her team. Austin still has Savannah, Jealous, and Christina. I was like, let me look at this. I still have Steven and Sage, and then Dylan is sitting with Soph as his last member. LOL, Dylan.
Hey, he's looking pretty good, low key. Though.
I was gonna say you're making a final tribal. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah.
Watch Sophie go home next week.
Watch Sophie be like the
she's God.
That'd be wild. That'd be wild.
We didn't talk about Sage, but one of the things just kind of overall from this season, Savannah, Rizzo, Sage, Steven to a certain degree, Christina to a certain degree, and then so the two Sophies sort of are like less on this part of the spectrum for me. But just between all of those people that I mentioned prior, like they want to win. And like I feel like a lot on New Age Survivor, what we're seeing a lot of is like, I just want to play a good game. I just want to play a good game and I want to make it far. These people want to win. They want to win and they want it bad. Like I diving for the keys, yelling at Sophie for like, you betrayed me that you just talked about, Ingrid. Like they want the win. They want to get rid of the person who's
nobody left who doesn't want the win.
And I'm also wondering,
really
is it I want the win or is it I want the win / I want the Survivor 50 spot because Jeff put that in their minds too. And every time they falter or
and
don't,
you know what? I hope so. It makes them play better and it makes them more enjoyable to watch. And the thing is, because how early did they get that bug? They didn't get it early. They got it like,
it was like at the merge, I think.
They got it at the merge.
They got it at merge. So people were playing Savannah and Rizzo and Sage were playing before that. Like that to me is one of the best things about this season that I have really liked is that, and it's not no shade on earlier New Age seasons for sure, but like this season, everyone who's left feels like they want to win, and I use the Gabler season as my prime example of like at some point it stopped feeling like people wanted to win. Which is why Gabler wins, I think, I think I've come around to the idea that Gabler played a better game than I think we thought he did during the season. But, like, even still, at certain point during 43, it felt like people stopped wanting to win, which is why we enjoyed 44 so much.
She's like the only person who wanted to win 43.
See, for me, it's like that 45, 48, especially. I mean, like D is incredible in 45.
But
like
D. Only one person really walked away wanting to win. Like Rachel wanted to win.
I do wonder.
We had two people.
Charlie wanted to win.
I do wonder if 45 and 48 did they not want to win, or were D and Kyle just so masterfully powerful?
And that's why
it made because I think Shaheen wanted to win.
Here's my very quick argument against that. 45, first of all, we had two people quit.
Okay, I'm not talking about them.
The idea.
And I don't necessarily think that like none of them wanted to win. That's not what I'm saying. But I think that there were people that were like that could see that the people they were aligned with were going to beat them. And still rode until the wheels fell off and they fell off with them. And I think the same is true about 48. And I also
I
think
see it more
like
in 48 than
and
45.
48
but
like Joe Hunter stopped wanting to win
Yes.
immediately.
Yes. 100%.
Immediately, as soon as he
Yeah.
met Eva, which is why I'm so excited to see him on 50, which is a segue for another day, because now he gets to play for himself,
Yeah.
which I think is really exciting. But like exactly to your point of like people not wanting to win.
I
All
agree.
those people around Eva, I really feel like with one or two exceptions, kind of threw away their games for it. And
Which is so hard because that has such
Joe mostly. Joe and
Yeah.
Joe did that knowing
We can
that.
talk about that later.
But I think with others it was less intentional.
That
but
has
I
so-
do agree with you about the whole they really
Yes,
want
I
to
do
win
think
on
this
season.
cast wants
Yeah.
to win.
And it's entertaining.
And that the
Hard.
Eva of it all. I mean, again, I'm sure we'll have a long conversation about it once we hit 50 because we'll see
Yeah.
Joe. But like the connotation about people like
I cannot wait till our draft episode. The
I know, it's
3-hour draft
gonna
episode
be
we have in
crazy.
That's crazy.
Come with your,
the
come with
fist
your
fights were
sword
serene.
ready, everyone. But I do feel like that was such a tough connotation for 48 because you had someone like Eva and Dylan and I talked so much about that season prior, or that season, just about how difficult it was going to be to watch people fall on their swords for Eva. And Eva didn't play a bad game, but at a certain point, she didn't really have to play. You know what I mean? This season, everybody has to play every episode or every round because if they're not playing, they're going to get left behind. Even if they're not getting voted out, it doesn't really matter. Because if you're not getting voted out and you weren't a part of what's happening, you have nothing to say to the people who just walked out who know that people had something to do with this. I think that that's what's really great about this season. And if people are a little bored, I don't know, be a little bored, I guess.
I genuinely don't get it. I don't get it.
I
don't think you can call the season boring when we just watched 48. I'm so sorry.
Correct. But we have just hit our hour. We have a pretty good idea of sort of what we're heading into tomorrow. Austin and Ingrid, thanks for joining for another conversation. It will not be the last for this season, I'm sure. The fun news that everybody should be excited about is that I think so. We go down to 6 tomorrow. Then we head down to our final 5 on the 10th. And then on the 17th, that is the finale. Beginning of I think that's the finale, which means
oh my God, why do I always
he won't be home, but Dylan will be back for a finale recap, which is very, very exciting right before the holidays. And we will sort of do our segue into Survivor 50. I will be back, if you can believe it, in less than a week. We're trying to be as proactive as possible as we head into the finale with my friend Corey, my good friend Corey Chichizola. He is going to be talking about episode 11 with me and sort of his kind of reads and finale predictions as we head into the next couple of weeks. And then if you can believe it, 49 will be over and we will be in pre-season for 50. Austin and Ingrid, where can they find you? What do you have coming up? Anything that you want to plug while you're here?
Don't find me. I'm kidding. I really don't post much anywhere. My Twitter, Austin Wilson 96, is what I use the most, but I don't really post. I just like shit.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super public on socials because I'm a teacher. But I just had to laugh because as long as I've been teaching at my current school the last 3 years, our concerts are always on Wednesdays. I teach choir, and somehow, some way, no matter what day it is, because it's not the same day every year or the same week every year, every single time my concert is on finale night. Every single for whatever season it is, every single time. And we're normally done by 7.
Yeah.
So
our concerts are at 6 and are done by 7.
It's usually not a big deal. But I just had to laugh when you said that because I was like, another one again?
Yeah.
I've had them as early as early May, and we're still on the finale. I'm like, what is going on with me? I don't know, but
crazy.
Yeah, I'm working hard.
What's your recipe for reality, Zach?
Ooh.
My recipe for reality, oh gosh. I'm going to hand over my recipe to reality, to Rizzo for his fake idol play under the presumption that he will explain why he did it and it will be really, really good. So I'm going to hand it to him and have that be my recipe. Your recipe for realities, friends?
I feel like because I went to bat so hard for her, I feel like
Go for it, girl.
Has to be my girl.
A good one too.
And then I can be different from you because I probably would have said Rizzo anyway. He is still number 1 on my fantasy for a reason.
My recipe for reality is my first overall draft pick, Savannah, my
As it should
girl,
be.
playing in Jawan's face of the did you
That
do
was
that?
so good.
Secondary shout out recipe for reality to Elsbeth for the shout out we had earlier.
Yes. Go
Incredible.
on, Elsbeth. That show was good.
You can follow Austin and Ingrid where they've told you to follow them. You can follow me on Twitter, or you can follow me on TikTok where I have a video
car tour has been posted
where I have a video with 1.6 million views, and that's at Love with 3 E's and 39 at the end of it. So go give me a follow. I'm gonna try and post more on TikTok because why not? But thanks for joining us. We will be back in just a couple of days with another recipe for reality, if you can believe it. You go check us out on TikTok at Dill Pickle Movie Network. And we'll see you on the island Fiji for some more Survivor. Goodbye.